Hi, my name is Ben Lawson. Today we're going to be talking about prompting hierarchy. Prompts are so important for behavior technicians across the world who seek to both identify problem behaviors to reduce and positive behaviors to reinforce. Following video is going to give some advice on what prompts there are, why we use certain prompts in certain situations, and why we think that prompts are what is necessary to fade in order for every child that we work with to gain independence. So thank you.
In this video, I'm going to define and give different examples of various prompt levels and the importance of systematically removing prompts. I think it would first be most beneficial to define a prompt. Prompts in general are stimuli presented to a client in order to ensure the increased likelihood of a similarly exhibited response in the future. These cues provided by an instructor can be used to help younger clients to complete tasks or different daily living activities with various levels of assistance in order to lead the child to hopefully one day perform the activity independently. When performing a discrete trial training DTT session, I establish what my client is able to do without my assistance at all. This is called a cold probe. After I have completely graphed my cold probes, I review each task or activity with the client using the identical SD, discriminative stimulus, initially stated and offer the least invasive prompt necessary. Depending on how they performed on the cold probe, I will know if I need to perform a full physical, hand over hand, which is most invasive and least independent, prompt versus a gesture, which offers the least invasion and encourages closest approximation to independent response. A physical prompt involves the therapist or technician making contact with the client in some manner. This prompt is typically divided into two sections: full physical and partial physical. First, a full physical prompt can take many forms, depending on the task at hand. They are most useful for clients who are not making progress at attending or initiating a task and allows them to successfully complete this activity with support. For example, I may attempt a task analysis in which we are backward chaining hand washing. I would provide full physical prompts via hand over hand until we reach targeted tasks and gauge then which level of prompting is necessary for this task to be successfully completed. When fading from a full physical prompt, decreasing pressure over hands over time will give a therapist a better idea of when a child may be ready to transition to the next prompt in the prompting hierarchy. This next prompt is termed a partial physical prompt, and it offers more independence, but still requires a therapist to use their hands to complete a task. For example, a client may struggle to initiate a task, and with the therapist's support, be able to complete this task with the therapist's hands gently guiding via contact at the elbows. These prompts are frequently used for young clients who may be attempting and struggling to attend to fine motor acquisition targets. A modeling prompt can be used when a specific motion is required, or to show a client what he or she needs to do without physical contact of any kind. The therapist acts out the response necessary so the client can observe a correct response. For example, a client may have the physical skills necessary to complete a task, such as opening a water bottle, but misunderstand the correct way to turn the cap, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. The therapist's model offers the knowledge without unnecessarily offering assistance that isn't needed to complete the task. Furthermore, a modeling prompt can be used to demonstrate gross motor skills as well. Though a client may be able to kick a ball, he or she may not understand how to dribble the soccer ball so that it does not stray too far from their feet. A therapist could even model an activity like this in order to A, prompt demand for help, and B, model a personalized client skill without allowing the client to grow prompt dependent. Gestures are another type of prompt that provide an even less intrusive form of assistance to a client. These include pointing toward, looking at, or otherwise providing another form of gestural stimulus to provoke the client's attention toward the correct step toward task completion. Gestures are an efficient way to transition smoothly through a DTT work session and can be especially beneficial when a client is instructed to perform an LR task in an array of various cards or items. A gesture can take on many forms, whether it be tapping using a finger or tapping a toe to indicate something a client may have forgotten on the floor before heading out the door. There are a variety of verbal prompts. A full verbal prompt may involve asking a client a question and answering it before they can respond, thus providing them the direct information they need to complete the task correctly. Whereas a full verbal prompt provides the complete answer, a therapist can also provide part of an answer immediately following the question posed. For example, he or she may ask a question and then, instead of responding with the full one-word answer, they may say the first syllable, and this stimulates the client to complete the full word response. This, for example, could sound like, "What is your name?" and immediately providing the response, "Kenny," and they would repeat, "Kenny." Now, a partial verbal response would sound more like this, "What is your name, Ken?" and they would complete, and they may say, "Kenny." That's an example of fading the full physical prompt into fading the full verbal prompt into a partial verbal prompt. Visual prompts use visual information to provide clues about the correct response. These can often be used as aids during sessions with younger clients when attempting interverbal targets. For example, a therapist may ask a client what his or her phone number is while displaying a card with a picture of a phone on it to cue the correct response. This is a simple way of providing specific, relevant information while not providing the direct answer to the task itself. It is always our goal through prompting to achieve an independent response. If an independent response is achieved without climbing the full ladder of prompts from full physical all the way up to a visual prompt, and a client skips several levels of prompts, then they should receive highly preferred reinforcement, and they should certainly be rewarded for such success. Our ultimate goal can be that they will use this new skill and apply it in different settings at different times with different people. This is termed skill generalization, and it's one of the main components and our main goals as ABA therapists, program managers, and future BCBAs. A prompt hierarchy can help one decide what prompt to begin with when teaching a new skill, and can also be useful when planning what type of prompt to provide as a child develops new skills. It must also be considered that a prompt should always correspond with the task at hand. For example, many clinics teach that a physical task should not be prompted with a verbal prompt. Rather, a physical task should be prompted with a physical prompt. These contexts must be considered at all times in order for a child to have the best chance of success at learning new skills, and a therapist being able to successfully fade prompts over time. Prompt dependency is the ultimate opponent to independent skill generalization and can even be done within the same teaching session using transfer and control trials followed by immediate reinforcement of highly preferred items.